Hey everyone and welcome. In this special explainer, we're doing a full recap of the incredible 15-part guide from Virtualization Options LLC. We're talking, of course, about disaster recovery specifically for AI systems. So if you've just gone through the whole course, think of this as your chance to lock in everything you've learned.
All right, let's just dive right in. This is it, the big end-of-course review for that entire 15-part tutorial. You could call it the ultimate cheat sheet, really. We're going to recap all the essential steps you need to build a rock-solid, truly resilient disaster recovery plan for your entire AI stack. And it's all based on that fantastic guide from Virtualization Options LLC.
And hey, before we get into the weeds, I just have to say, a huge congratulations to you. You made it through all 15 lessons. And let's be honest, this is some dense, pretty demanding material, but it's also probably one of the most important skill sets any IT pro can have right now. So seriously, great job. So here's how we're going to break this down. We're going to structure this whole review around the 4 key pillars of the course. First, we'll look back at how we scoped the challenge, the foundational why. Then we'll get into the technical blueprint, the what. After that, we'll talk about the people and processes, the who and how. And finally, we'll wrap up with making sure this is a living plan that never goes out of date. Okay, first up, scoping the challenge. These first 3 chapters were all about laying that strategic groundwork. And this wasn't about just checking off boxes, it was about really answering that fundamental question, why does AI demand a disaster recovery plan that's just fundamentally different from what we're used to in traditional IT?
Remember Chapter 1? That was our big wake-up call. We learned that AI systems bring a whole new class of vulnerabilities to the table. I mean, we're not just worried about servers going down anymore, right? The real game changers are these unique risks like subtle data corruption that can poison your models over time, or even adversarial attacks designed to fool your system. The key takeaway was shifting our whole mindset from simple uptime to ensuring model integrity. Building on that, Chapter 2 made us get brutally practical. It's one thing to know what can break. It's another to figure out what it actually costs the business when it does. This business impact analysis for AI was all about moving beyond the technical jargon to actual dollars and cents. That way you can have real, informed conversations with leadership and, prioritize what you need to protect first.
And this first phase wrapped up with Chapter 3, where we defined what success actually looks like with cold, hard numbers. We went back to classics like RTO, how fast you need to get back online, and RPO, how much data you can actually afford to lose. But the crucial part was adapting them for AI. Like, what's the RPO for a model that's constantly learning? What's the RTO for a critical inference engine? Getting those AI-specific SLAs right? Yeah, that's absolutely non-negotiable.
All right, so with our strategy all mapped out, we moved into the technical blueprint. Chapters 4 through 8 were really the heart of the course. This is where we shifted from the why to the core what, building the actual technical fortress that's going to protect your AI assets. This section kicked off with the absolute lifeblood of any AI system, the data. The big lesson from Chapter 4 wasn't just, hey, do backups. It was about the kind of backups. We learned to treat training data, inference logs, and model artifacts as totally separate, unique assets. Each one needs its own strategy for versioning, for encryption, and for restoration. From data, we moved on to the hardware, the metal. Chapter 5 was all about designing an infrastructure that just expects failure. The core idea here was building resilience in from day one, using high availability clusters and automated failover, making sure that one single hardware failure doesn't spiral into a full-blown business outage. Chapter 6 got into one of the most unique parts of AI disaster recovery, the models themselves. The big insight here is that a model isn't just a piece of code, it's a trained asset. So having a proper model registry with super strict version control, that's not a nice to have. It's basically your get-out-of-jail-free card. It lets you instantly roll back to a known, trusted version if a new model goes haywire.
Then Chapter 7 was all about being ready for minute 0, that exact moment an incident gets detected. The key here was creating a plan that gets rid of all the panic and guesswork. Who gets that first alert? What's the exact escalation path? Who tells what to whom? Having all of that defined before a crisis hits is what separates a little hiccup from a major disaster.
And this whole technical section wrapped up with the recovery playbook in Chapter 8. Probably the most important lesson here was that recovery isn't done just because the system is back online. No way. It's done when the system is validated. You learned how to build procedures that don't just restore the data, but actually prove the AI system is giving accurate, trustworthy results before you put it back in production. Now, what's really interesting here is how we pivot.
You can have a perfect technical plan, but it's totally worthless if the people who need to use it are unprepared. So this next block of chapters, 9 through 13, was all about building the human operating system for your DR strategy.
Chapter 9 really drilled home a powerful truth. An untested plan is just a theory. And this is a perfect illustration of the different ways you learned to put that theory to the test. The big takeaway wasn't just to test, but to use a smart mix of methods, from tabletop exercises that find gaps in your logic, to live failover tests that prove your tech actually works under pressure.
So in Chapter 10, we really fleshed out that communication plan. This was all about mastering crisis communications, making sure everyone, from the on-call engineer all the way up to the CEO, gets the right information at exactly the right time. A well-run comms plan builds trust, but a chaotic one, man, it can destroy it in seconds. Chapter 11 forced us to look outside our own walls. I mean, modern AI systems don't exist in a bubble, right? They rely on cloud providers, data vendors, SaaS APIs. The crucial lesson was to treat your vendors like an extension of your own team. You have to scrutinize their SLAs and co-design recovery plans so a weak link in the supply chain doesn't bring your whole operation down.
From there, Chapter 12 was all about making your plan auditable and compliant. And this isn't just about making the regulators happy. The real insight here is that the discipline of documenting everything and aligning with standards like NIST, it forces a level of rigor and clarity that just makes the entire plan stronger and a heck of a lot easier to execute.
And this section wrapped up with Chapter 13, which brought everything back to your people. The goal here is to turn disaster recovery from some document sitting on a shelf into actual organizational muscle memory. Through regular, role-specific training and drills, you're not just creating a plan anymore, you're building a genuine culture of resilience.
So here's the crucial point. A disaster recovery plan is never really finished. And that brings us to our final section, the living plan. This covers the last 2 chapters of the course, and it answers that really important question. Okay, now what?
In Chapter 14, you learn to start treating your DR plan like a product, not a one-and-done project. It has a life cycle. The key takeaway was to set up a formal feedback loop, a process for taking the lessons you learn from every single test, drill, or actual incident, and using them to systematically update and improve the plan over time.
And you brought the whole course home with Chapter 15, learning how to turn this big, grand strategy into a project you can actually manage. The insight was to avoid trying to, boil the ocean. By creating a phased roadmap with clear milestones and success metrics, you turn this intimidating document into an achievable series of steps.
So there you have it. You've just revisited the entire framework, from high-level strategy all the way down to on-the-ground execution. You've got the knowledge now. So the final question I want to leave you with is this. How are you going to take all these lessons and make sure your AI disaster recovery plan becomes a living, breathing part of your organization's culture?
Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer. You've gained an incredibly valuable skill set, so congratulations once again on this huge achievement. We really hope you'll continue to build on this knowledge and make your AI systems more resilient than ever before.